We're on. The good thing for the folks at home, JP, I haven't figured out that if you watch on Facebook right now, I actually haven't figured out yet how to shut up JP. I've got that plan too somehow. I got to turn that off there. But they can't hear JP talking on the internet. So I got to figure that. I got to figure out how to get him back in here. But for the folks online, you're welcome. Just what?
Yeah.
What, JP? I'm just saying. All right. You're here, JP. You need to come in here to do your because I don't have you in there.
Well, how about the Super Bowl? Can we talk about that?
No. Not yet, Tom. You got to hold off. That's how we're going to finish the show. Last little bit. All right. So we're going to talk a couple of other things today on my list. Let's see. We like you said, we do got Super Bowl. We've got prop bets to talk about with the boys, Hunter. Have a little fun with that.
Bets.
Greg Olson walking away from the Panthers are not going to be together. That little bit NFL and that. Some NBA, Major League Baseball. But real quick, what I wanted to get to first and is a little Hall of Fame talk. Did we get baseball Hall of Fame with you guys last week, Tom?
Yeah,
we did.
All right. Now, NASCAR Hall of Fame was last night. And the only person that I know of, Hunter, that's in 2 sport Hall of Fames, he was inducted last night. Joe Gibbs. Inducted in the Hall of Fame last night. 3-time Super Bowl champion with the Washington Redskins.
Coach.
And card owner in NASCAR. So Coach Joe Gibbs inducted into the Hall of Fame along with Bobby Labonte, Waddell Wilson. I'm not familiar with Waddell, old driver. And Tony Stewart was the headliner last night in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. But everybody, Bobby Labonte was a pretty good driver, though, wasn't Terry?
He was a pretty good driver.
He had to drive against Earnhart and Petty and all of them, and then actually into the Gordon area and stuff. And he won actually a lot of races against all those guys.
When he won his championship, I still got that car that they come out with after he won. But
but would you think like and now at the end of it that Bobby Labonte would have NASCAR championship and Junior wouldn't?
That's true, absolutely
You know?
true. I wouldn't say it that way. I'm very opposite, I guess, of what you just said. I would think that Bobby would maybe have one and Junior would have 2 or 3.
Okay.
Without him having
Right.
any, is how I'd look at it. But to think Bobby Labonte was consistent. He reminded me of a Mark Martin.
Right.
That was always on the, and he could win any race that he was in. But last night, Tony Stewart's speech was pretty funny. And I loved it when he got to the point and he says, and I'd like to thank all my girlfriends over the years that I've ever had, because he's not married. He don't have no family or anything.
He doesn't? No children?
No. And
Wow.
he said, well, I don't know whether he does or not on that part, but I know he's had a lot of girlfriends. He's never been married.
Really?
I put it like that, but he congratulated all his girlfriends over the years that helped him through a lot of stuff. That's how he put it.
Thank you to a very soft legal system, which is why he isn't in jail after 4 or 5 years ago, that little incident. That was it, a dirt track or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, if you watch the video of that, you're like, oh.
Shouldn't have ran at him.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I mean, gosh almighty. I mean, it's just that was bad. But I guess nobody talks about that anymore. It just kind of went away.
He had talked to
just like
Junior.
him and third leg Greg don't get talked about anymore. Somebody asked him about that at the Super Bowl. Hunter's going to tell you all about it.
But they were racing,
man.
And Junior was behind him. And Junior had been into the race for a few years, and this is when they was not in the Sprint Cup, but they was out down at the lower Cup. But Junior come up behind him and bumping him. And Tony kept saying that kept just teeing me off. This dude behind me just keeps wanting to hit me in the back. So he finally got to the point he understood after a long period of time that I'm supposed to pull over if he's faster than I am and let him go, So he said he finally did, but at the end of the race, he comes up and knocks Junior over into the wall. And he says they had a few little altercations and talking after the race. But it said the very next race, Junior was the one saying this. So when they come back out, that he come walking over and he said, here come Tony Stewart. And he's like, uh-oh, what's all this going to be about? And he said Tony Stewart walked up to him. He said they were both young. He looked at him and he says, reached his hand out to shake him. So they shook hands and he goes, look, man, we're going to be in this sport for a long time. And we're going to be hitting each other and banging on each other, but let's come out of this and be friends and understand what we got to do while we're out here on the racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
And Junior said, you know what? He said, we became friends at that time. And he said, we still had altercations through the years, but he said, I kind of understood where he come from.
Yeah, I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. is a lot better person.
Yeah.
than Tony Stewart, a lot better person. You know, I guess I'll just say that. That when that happened with a few years ago, I still hadn't really got over that. I'm like, I don't know how somebody gets away with that, because if that was me that did that, guess where I'd be? Right there in a prison cell. But anyway,
I'm in Tom's camp on that. Bobby has 21 wins. Have they already put Terry in? Terry
Labonte?
Yeah.
Yes.
He had 22 wins. People racing right now, are they putting in too many people?
It's about 5 a year now.
Right.
So,
so do they need to cut that back at some point, or everybody that's ever raced is going to be in at some point? Here's folks right now that have more wins than both the Labontes. So are they Hall of Famers? Joey Logano, Martin Truex, Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, and of course Jimmy Johnson. Those two, of course. But that further on down the list is Logano. If him and Truex and Keselowski and Hamlin all retired right now, are they Hall of Famers? Is Kurt Busch a Hall of Famer? He's got 10 more wins than Bobby Labonte.
But you're still racing. I think that's the thing. You got to be out of racing for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this group made 55 that they've got in it now out of the 70 years of NASCAR. So I guess if you go back and look at since they started,
right?
And I guess they're trying to build it up. But I don't know where a point that you say we got to quit putting at least 5 in every year. And that's going to happen eventually, because eventually you're going to be saying, who do we put next? And it needs to be like Major League Baseball went, and there's only 2 that's going to make it this year.
You know who else? You know who else said that for a different sport? Deion Sanders said that about football this week. Basically,
he did.
We're letting too many people
I agree.
into the Hall of Fame. But I guess the counter argument is like, as we transcend over time, more and more and more people play, so more and more people are going to get an opportunity. That's just the way it is.
Y'all got into a conversation last week after I had left, but y'all were talking about Eli Manning, and you brought out, should he be a Hall of Famer or not? And I've always been, I think he should, because he's won a couple of Super Bowl titles
and MVPs.
But those are the only times he ever did anything. And you went over how many times he didn't, like 0-1, 0-1, 0-1, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
A ton.
Until they beat New England's in them Super Bowls. Yeah. But his overall record was like 117.
500.
Yeah, and when you look at that, you say, okay, that'd be same thing as saying, okay, an 8-8 quarterback is going to be a Hall of Famer.
But it's kind of I guess it's a little bit different story, because those teams in the 70s were really good with Terry Bradshaw. But the 4 championships, if you look at it, just the stats, it's like
he's seventh in passing yards and 7th in touchdowns all time.
Bradshaw?
No, Eli.
Oh, Eli. Manning. I was getting ready to say, but if you look at
yeah, right.
Yeah, why can a guy? But it's about. I guess the point I'm making is about championships.
Swan and Stallworth, neither one of them had a 1,000-yard season, and they're both in the Hall of Fame. And Drew Pearson is not in the Hall of Fame.
I guess too, though,
Drew Pearson's the only wide receiver on any of the all-decade teams that is not in, or only player that's not in the Hall of Fame.
And then when you go back and look at that, the only thing I hate about Drew Pearson is the first and second team. He's the only one that didn't make it. Even the whole second team's in the Hall of Fame.
Right. I mean, he's just no Drew Pearson.
I have a hard time with that.
And they've done that over the years, Terry. And Cowboy fans will attest to it. They might put us on TV or put them on ESPN all the time, but when it comes to Hall of Fame voting,
they're not.
They push back. Jimmy Johnson just now got in, and he's been retired for 20 years now. I mean, I don't know what that. Looking at that, Kurt Busch did win a championship, Terry. So he's got more wins. So I guess he's the Hall of Famer. Hamlin still hasn't won a championship, right? But Harvick has, Keselowski has, Truex has, and Logano has. So they all are Hall of Famers now that you can. So right now on the track, there's 8 Hall of Famers out of 35 cars.
Logano.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You see what I mean? So if we keep adding people, Jimmy, Kyle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and if Hamlin ever wins one, he'll be a Hall of Famer. So all of those are Hall of Famers. Well, and that's not even counting if Elliott and Larson and then any of the new kids start winning races and stuff and move on.
Is it still is the Hall of Fame struggling in itself still as like a business?
I have
venture?
no idea.
Because when they
on
first
that.
opened it, they said there wasn't a whole lot of people going. So
Well,
maybe
just-
they're trying to let more people in to try to attract more people to come to it. Is what I can think.
Gibbs has won 5 NASCAR Cup overall big championships, 2 Xfinity, 3-time Daytona 500 champion, and then this year named the Hall of Fame. In NFL Hall record, he was 181 and 108, a little bit better record than Eli Manning had.
Yeah.
Joe Gibbs born in Mocksville, North Carolina, for you Redskins and NASCAR fans.
I'm a little embarrassed to say I've not gone to the NASCAR Hall of Fame yet.
No, I
I
haven't
need
been
to go.
either.
Have you not?
Nothing I've been.
I have
I have never
multiple
been.
times.
Terry.
That's
Terry
true.
Reinhardt.
I've
has
been
not
multiple
been.
times.
Yeah,
It's
I have
neat.
never
It's
been.
nice. It's
Terry,
cool.
Terry, field trip,
Yep.
KTC field trip. We need to go up
We're
there.
gonna take the pink
Live
Cadillac
show.
down to
live
the. We'll go to a
show.
Hornets game and a.
Oh God!
and-
Don't make me watch that.
See, but that's what I'm saying. Is it
And the Hall of
if
Fame.
somebody is who follows NASCAR, and Terry does love NASCAR,
Yeah.
I just got to ask why.
And it's
why-
right down here in Charlotte.
Yeah, but why haven't you been?
I did
what-
this other thing that's, and it's one of them things that you got on your bucket list
yeah,
that you want to go do.
right.
But if other stuff's there, then I go do that before I go do that. And
It's kind of like my crazy idea to ride a motorcycle from all the way up and down the Outer Banks that I've talked about since I was 18 years old. But you know what? I
What,
don't.
along the
You know what? I don't
intercoastal
have a
waterway?
motorcycle.
I was getting ready to say, no, I wouldn't even think of that. Wouldn't even be on my bucket list on
What?
a motorcycle. Yeah.
You wouldn't just want to get on a boat and just travel all up and down the intercoastal waterway.
That would be cool too, but probably never going to do it. But see, I have an
They
excuse
don't
for
have a
those.
boat.
No, I actually have a tin can on a shingle, but that's a whole nother
Oh,
story.
so you make
So if
that kind
anybody's
of
got
money.
NASCAR tickets out there for me to go, I'd love to have them. man.
To go, we need to go. We really need to go there because
Terry's
there's
begging
no
for
excuse
Hall of
for
Fame
there's no
tickets.
excuse for not going. You don't need a boat. It's close
That's it.
by. You-
I
we
can
need to
drive
go.
down there.
Yeah, we need to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to show our viewers at home. I've pulled up a few pictures for Terry, for these guys that have never been to the Hall of Fame. So this is what is called Glory Road, and what's really neat, Terry, is you start lower on the track, on the flat surface, right?
Mhm.
And it goes around. You can see right here behind it, folks, right behind the car. See how it's going up at an angle? So what they've done around the arena, look at this. It's so on the inside you've got the you walk in, that bottom floor is where you walk in, and up top of that is Glory Road, and you can walk up there, and though it shows the banking all the way from flat to Talladega, so you can walk around the track, and once you get over there to the Talladega side, because it's so steep that they at some point the cars can't just hold on, so they quit putting cars on it, and they've got stairs. You can climb up the stairs and stand with bars and hold on, because you can't just stand on the road or anything. But it's really neat. That's the second floor. It goes from the bottom all the way up to the second floor on the banking, just to show you how big it is. Bottom floor, you walk in. This is pretty much where you walk in, there behind that Earnhardt car. And on the bottom floor, they have first thing to your left is they have all the steering wheels setups that they've had over the years. So you can and they got a screen in front of them that shows the cars that kind of went with it. So you can sit there and the ones without power steering,
Oh,
Terry. You sit
yeah.
there and the
Oh,
kids.
yeah.
The kids are over there just going, woof, 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 just spinning those jokers as much as they can.
Just gonna throw this out there for you, Terry. Terry, for $49, you can get in unlimited simulator rides, audio tour, a lanyard, pit stop cafe meal,
Yep.
and a $10 gear shop voucher, Terry.
Look out, $10.
So you can
it's
go in there
really-
and get you a Dale Earnhardt Jr.
$39.
T-shirt, something
That's
like
what
that.
you
I'm
get
telling you, right,
All right.
Terry?
Well, you think a T-shirt's only
good.
$10 there? That would be.
No. I'm
would
just saying
be-
you get $10 towards the T-shirt.
Oh,
So
oh,
Terry,
towards
you're
the
probably getting out. You're probably getting out for $60. Not bad.
All right. All right.
you know,
So
not bad.
this right here is the so folks, they've got a room. This is the Hall of Fame room, the induction room. So these plaques back here on the wall are the people who's already been inducted. The ones in the middle are this year's inductees. So
Was that a sofa
This is a different
and a
year.
television?
it may have been. It may have been one of the It may have been one of the broadcasters. If
Oh.
that was what
Probably
that
showing
was.
the first race.
It
Maybe.
probably was.
I was
but-
looking at it. I was like, man, did
but
they
this is
induct
the-
a fan?
Yeah, this is the induction room for people watching online on Facebook. So they bring the cars out of the guys who ran, and then they end up their plaques getting put on the back wall, and then next year they do it here. So pretty neat there in the Hall of Fame. I recommend it. So on the second, you go up the second floor, And that's where all the memorabilia is, and you can walk around in different times and different sections. And Terry, it's got seats, helmets, everything you could think of. You can talk to the statue here, the people that's looking around. They do have racing simulators. That's what this is. So they've turned the cars into actual video games. So you can sign up right here where this guy is in the cage, and everybody sits in the actual cars and do the racing simulators. That is the only thing I really haven't done yet. Right here behind it, over here where this guy's standing, they have a pit crew area where you can go and do things. You can jack up the cars, pick up the gas cans, feel how heavy they are, all that stuff. Pretty neat. And then, of course, up top on the third floor, they got more stuff, more memorabilia and whatnot. Seeing those little jumpsuits, Terry, some of those guys weren't too big.
A lot of them aren't.
There's you look from the bottom row, and there's where it starts going up to Talladega. So there's a ladder stand you can stand in, and the cars come all the way down and around.
So what
to flat?
How much time would you budget for the NASCAR Hall of Fame?
If I don't know, if you're not doing simulators, I'd say you could walk through and just I'm not doing anything. I'm just casually looking in an hour probably. But if you wanted to read stuff and get into it, you could spend a couple hours easy. Just if you just wanted to be interested, if you want to take it as educational as you can be, you can take as long as you want. And then the simulators, like I said, I don't know how long that. I'm sure that it's not too long, but haven't done that. It's my kid's son's next step. He wants to get in and race, but I've seen him race on the PlayStation. I'm like, I'm not paying $25 for you to go out here and wreck everybody else that's playing that's racing right
Well,
now.
I've driven on my way to school in the summertime. I've driven right by the Pro Football Hall of Fame about 7 or 8 times, and I was like, I need to stop, but I just don't have time.
That's me.
How did they get?
I've driven right by it 7 or 8 times.
How did they get a ghost's legs in that
they
picture?
do if you're watching online. Look at that.
That is weird, isn't it?
But I love some of the cars because the Wrangler car, I've got that one, and I mean, it's just a bunch that you go through, and knowing that you got a simulation at your house.
The Wrangler car, that's old school
And
right there.
I saw a picture last weekend of Junior crawling in the Petty car there, and I'm like, I didn't get to go across the rope and sit in the car. Well, that's not fair. I want to sit in the Richard Petty. He was sitting in the STP one.
Yeah.
All right, JP, are you ready for a break? JP's ready for a break. I'm going to send the folks on down a rabbit hole watching online here in a second if I hit the wrong button. All right, we'll be back in a minute on KTCBroadcasting.com.
I only do things incredible can, 'cause I am the seed of a chosen don't see too many like me. Cause I am one of the reasons you do what you do when you want to be me instead of you. Cause I am.
JP, we're just talking a little Coach K temper tantrum. JP, you got some news for us? You want to come in and join us? Come
All
on,
right.
come on, JP. J Pizzle, folks, Shizzle's coming to join the Hizzle, Tommy.
He's going over it. He
That was
bringing
awful.
his own laptop and everything.
Laptop.
He's
Look
got
out.
some news. and
Laptop
notes for
Prather's
us.
up
Look
in
at
the
this.
house.
Let me
Look
get
at
out
this.
of your way, JP. I'm sorry. I'm in your way.
Real sports are happening, Terry. Get out of the way.
That's it. You
Now,
tell
JP,
us.
do those work?
This is an
Do those work,
opportunity.
JP?
Let's see if you can turn them up.
Do those work,
Yours?
JP?
Yeah, that works.
Talk,
Got
JP.
Good job, JP. Tell us what's happening.
Well, the Australian Open,
Yeah.
tennis. Since y'all don't talk about it, I might as well talk about it.
There you go.
The Australian Open is actually coming to its. Hey, look, this is the only sport I care
I
about.
know.
This is all I get.
It's like
Go
we've been
ahead.
wasting your time this whole time.
Just about, yeah.
That's why. Let me get
But,
this out of your way, JP. You keep moving it to me.
Yeah, but the Australian Open will be ending tomorrow with the men's finals, which don't know much about that right now. Let me pull it up.
Keenan wins the Aussie Open for first Grand Slam
Okay.
title. Sophia
Yeah, we have
Keenan.
Novak Djokovic in the finals, which he is number 2 right now. I don't like Novak Djokovic. Just for y'all to know, I cannot stand the guy. So
You don't like
he is-
Joker?
Yeah, literally, he is a joker.
That's his-
Literally,
he's the Joker.
He is. Literally.
Who's he playing?
He's playing. I don't know.
Is you don't know or you
Okay.
can't pronounce his name?
No, I can pronounce his name. I just gotta find it. Somebody hacked into my phone.
Well, Djokovic is the
Dominic-
defending champion. This is JP's Sports Minute, folks. If you're watching online, he's the orange coat in the corner with his back turned to the big area. Just wave at everybody, JP. All right, JP. So you got to figure it out yet, buddy?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's he's non-seeded as far as I know. Looks like it. No, he's number 5. He's the number 5 seeded. The guy I've got, Dominique Thiem. Yeah, but in the quarterfinals we had the number 2 seed. I think he was. Somebody's controlling my computer. Okay, yeah. And the quarterfinal and semifinals, Novak defeated Roger Federer, which, in my opinion, is the greatest tennis player of all time.
All right.
But
I
that's-
agree.
that's
I
just-
agree.
Yeah. He deserves to be number 1. However, I don't mind the number 1 seed in Rafael Nadal right now. He because Novak's number 2, Nadal is number 1. He actually lost in the quarterfinals to the guy that Novak will be playing tomorrow in the finals. The
Gotcha.
number 5th seeded player.
So you trying to tell me that Federer's not in it,
and Nadal's
Nadal's not in it?
Yeah.
Come on, JP.
number 2 is going up against number 5 tomorrow in the finals.
And the other guy he's
I'm just
facing is
glad.
what? What's his name?
I think it was Dominic. Let me get back to the.
I'm just glad Terry understood what was going on. I was
Yeah.
confused.
It was
Terry's
Dominic
on top
Thiem.
of it. Good job, Terry.
Yeah.
There you go.
I do watch tennis every now and then
No,
Yeah, I mean, when it's
I was
on
just
at
trying to
5 in the morning.
I was just trying to
yeah.
understand where JP was going. I was,
because I was even in the
my
women's. I was the one
computer's
hell
not
to
jumping up.
advance, but she got beat.
Waiting on JP's update. JP,
Yeah.
I thought you were ready for the update.
I'm ready for the update. What do you want me to know? What do you know?
All right, I guess that's it.
What's the
Well-
next one that after the Australian?
That'll be the French. That'll happen in May.
All right.
Oh, okay.
And then they'll have the Wimbledon, which will be in the summer, and then I think
The U.S. Open's
U.S.
next.
Open. And that'll be the last one, I think, for the season, and then they go back and do
See,
it
a
all
lot of
over.
people think I'm quite dumb, but I'm really not.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I just want to know how y'all
Uh,
think Federer's the greatest when Nadal smokes him every time.
Oh, no,
No,
I
they
love
have great battles,
I used to hate Nadal, but I love Nadal now. I can't stand Djokovic.
And it's 24 wins to
Yeah,
16.
16.
Yeah.
That's what, think of that. It's 40 times they have played. And the Djokovic, when he plays, him and Federer usually go 5 sets.
They actually did in the
Yeah.
semis, if I remember correctly. They actually went 5 sets.
Listen, and this is one of those at the top of their games, maybe not greatest ever, top of their game against anybody. I know you ain't gonna agree with me, but I don't care. I would put my money on Agassi.
Okay,
Agassi.
I have to agree with
Uh,
you there. I have to agree with you there.
If I had to put
On
my money on
Agassi?
anybody on a
Come
one
on.
match,
Well,
one day, he can play with anybody. Everybody
I
else has got
had-
weaknesses.
If I had to
He just don't
take
have that much power.
that, and y'all even going to think I'm crazy, I would have to go back if I'm only taking a one man, be on board.
Oh, boy.
I would take him.
That's a hard one to say no to. Yeah.
But he gets eliminated for his shorts.
Well,
Him and Daisy Duke had the same shorts on the Dukes of Hazzard, Terry.
But he won. He won.
Well, he won.
Some
Tom,
people would say
you got a favorite
Sampras,
tennis player?
You
Now,
know?
a lot of people say, Sampras on the accomplishments. But I just,
I can remember some mornings waking up early and watching
Wimbledon?
breakfast at Wimbledon when
Oh, yeah,
Sampras was good. Yeah, so I
Man.
enjoyed that. And I actually had a friend in graduate school who was the tennis coach at his school.
I like the
so
guys that
we
move
would watch
around
it
more
in
as
the
opposed
morning.
Greatest
to
tennis.
the power hitters.
It's okay. Greatest tennis player of all times, Venus Williams.
I like,
Or no, Serena. Sorry,
I was about
Serena
to say,
Williams.
you even
Yeah,
missed the
Serena.
wrong sister
It's the
there,
wrong
G.
Yeah.
one. Serena. Yeah,
Well,
Serena.
Venus isn't if they
Or-
would play and practice like they're supposed to, they'd be number 1, number 2 with the women's.
Well, their doubles team. That's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, true too, but I mean, still.
But Coco is on the rise.
Which could be.
She could be.
But you know-
16-year-old?
but you know-
She's beaten Serena
but you-
twice now.
But you know who I had a crush on who wasn't a really good tennis player? Think 90s. Who did everybody have a crush on that was a great tennis player back in the 90s?
Kornikova is the greatest.
There you go.
Kornikova is the
Kornikova.
greatest tennis player of all time. It's not even a question.
No, she's not very good, but
No, she is the
everybody
best
had
tennis. She's the best tennis player I've ever watched.
everybody had a
It's-
Kornikova crush back in
Or
the
Bad
90s.
or Sarapova. Some people would say her.
No, I had a crush on
And you know, it was Jennifer Capriati. I can remember her.
I don't
back in
know,
the early
man. I've
90s.
never really had a crush on any tennis players because their grunts are too manly. I'm just,
I was waiting. I was waiting for Hunter to
Sarapova
end the tennis
always does
conversation.
that.
Thanks for Hunter. All right.
Every hit.
Although I have to say one last thing to Kevin about this. You're dishing on Roger Federer, and yet he is the most decorated Wimbledon champion of all time.
That's cute.
Still.
Tell me about the French Open with Roger Federer.
I'm surprised he's in it again.
Isn't
this
that the
year,
one
but-
on the clay that he never wins? He can't get out of the
Oh
first
no,
round?
he's won.
Which one's the one he sucks at? There's one of them he's awful at. Nadal's.
Nadal's
Destro-
very strong at the French.
That's
Well,
what I'm talking
that's-
about.
well,
he can't beat him.
yeah.
He can't
That's the
beat
thing.
Nadal.
Nadal's always been known as the king of the clay court, and the only reason Federer won it one year is because Nadal wasn't in it. That's the only reason.
Who
he
does
won
better
it.
on the hard court? I mean, it's 24-16. Nadal's all over him.
It's really kind of hard to say which one. I mean,
yeah, but
Nadal's been
what's the age differential we're looking at here? Federer's just been at the game for so long, so much longer
he's
than
I
Nadal.
think he's 43, 44.
Yeah, right. He's been
in his
losing
40s.
longer than Nadal. I'm looking at right at it.
Yeah.
24 times. Smoked by the GOAT.
They're both pretty
Still,
good.
Bo, I mean, look,
They're both pretty good.
still, I mean, Federer's never been above the top 3. He's always been in the top 3 more.
Are
or
we
less,
doing
so-
LeBron math in tennis now? Is that what we're doing?
No, I'm just saying.
Greg Norman's the greatest golfer of all time. All right, that's where we're going with this. If Federer's getting smoked by that guy 24 times, I don't think so.
Still,
He's
I
cute.
mean,
He's
yeah.
good. Look, him and Sampras are the same player to me.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, Federer just has one more title in Wimbledon than anybody else. But I mean, besides that being said, they were tied.
You know what?
with Wimbledon
You know what's
champions.
surprising is how the Europeans just routinely kick our butt in tennis. Like we don't like. There's not another crop of really good American tennis
Whoa,
players.
whoa, whoa! They kick our butt in tennis. Sometimes the
yes.
Europeans
The lady
have our.
that won
Sometimes
it
the
today, where
Europeans
was she
have our
from?
number in
But it-
basketball.
but
they have our
America.
numbers in
The
soccer.
girl that won
But
is
it,
American.
it
yeah.
just
Okay,
it
that's
just
what I
seems like
thought.
we should have more
Sophia
great
Keenan.
tennis players.
Man.
American Sophia
should.
Keenan won the girls.
I mean,
All right, if you want to watch that, dates through February 2nd tomorrow. I guess will be the end of it for the Australian Open. Big weekend of sports this weekend. All right, JP, get back to manning the.
thank you, JP.
Thank you,
You're
JP.
welcome. I enjoyed it.
Are we
I'm
behind?
just-
Are we ready for another break, real quick, before we get into our Super Bowl previews and stuff?
I'm just very, very
Are
impressed
we?
that JP
Okay.
keeps up with sport. Very good, JP.
Yeah,
He got
Very
an
good.
assignment. I'm
proud
just
of
glad he's awake for the assignment.
Yeah, well, I got into it like the 2 weeks I went to grad school. I roomed with a guy who was a big tennis guy, played tennis, coached tennis, all that. So we'd get up and watch and say, "Hey, this is pretty cool." It's kind of one of those things you might not pay attention to, but if you watch a match, it's actually
It
pretty
is.
cool to watch. It is.
It's all you hear.
I'll tell you,
Quiet.
one of the best things about tennis.
At
and
least they score
yeah,
Yeah.
every swing, right?
instead of score.
I like to watch
nothing to
I
nothing.
like to watch the
or
people
1
who
to
can
nothing.
serve at like 100 miles an hour. I mean,
That's-
to
that-
see it coming down.
That
I mean, that's
stuff's-
impressive
that
to
stuff's
watch.
nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
The crap. I was on
Well,
a
Hunter
pace till
told
Hunter
us
started
about
swinging.
that when
Oh,
he had to face somebody.
one of my favorite ones is
The girl from Bandy's. Like,
Oh yeah. That serve was wicked.
And think of hers. Hers was fast, but it's not as fast
No,
as
not
what they do.
nowhere near as fast. She probably was sending that thing probably close to 60, 70. I was like, Jesus.
Terry, I'll tell you.
And you got to serve it back off the bounce.
Terry, I'll tell you a quick.
I'm sorry I have to say
Funny
this,
story on
but
the break.
Andy Roddick still has the fastest serve there is. I think it was 136 miles an hour.
It's crazy.
Is that all?
There's no way.
Yeah, he holds the fastest serve right now.
We think 100-mile-an-hour fastball is fast as
Yeah.
baseball.
and think about it, Tom. In baseball, you have to hit it within a 300-foot by 300-foot triangle, basically.
Yeah.
And in tennis, you have to not only hit that, you have to knock it in a little bitty square on the other side of a net with another guy waiting to hit it back at you.
What you hope is the first one is a fault, so the
Yeah.
second one comes slow.
At 100, at a buck 10.
That's what you hope. Yeah, a buck 10, I can hit it. 136, I know, but it's kind of, if you don't watch it that often, it is cool, especially the finals or something like that. It's fun to watch.
All right, JP, quick break. We'll be right back. KDCBroadcasting.com.